Okay, this is the second tutorial. This is the data processing tutorial number 2, Florida lead processing. And I'm already logged into the server, which you can see, but I'm going to close that stuff and go right to the File Explorer. Going to go to Op File, Admins, Act CRM, New Leads, Florida. So this was the 612 leads that we had, and Lucy has gone through them, and now I need to process them. She's decided which ones will be deleted, and so I'm just going to go navigate a copy of that file to the desktop where I have a shortcut to Data Florida Processing. I'm going to paste this here and replace the one that I had, which was the unedited by Lucy version. And I'm going to go in and finish preparing the file. I will then import it to Access, change things in Access, open the file we process it with, and demonstrate how that's all done. So now that this is open, I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to just make sure that we didn't lose our freeze top row. And then I'm going to go to Data, and now I'm going to set up my sort, but instead of by name indicator this time, I'm going to use the delete and then opportunity names, so that all the ones Lucy wants deleted rise to the top. I'm just going to mark them and delete them. And the only other thing I need to do now is where you import says Y for yes. For whatever reason, this doesn't always work perfectly. So I'm going to turn the filter on, and I'm going to check each type. I'm going to unselect them all. I'm going to go to one by one. In the one by one section, unless there is a dual match on the CRM matches, so it's okay that there's one or the other, but it's only when the exact same CRM number matches in the same column for that property would I remove the Y. And so all of these have the Y for one by one, so those will work just fine. Now I'm going to uncheck that and check the 1x2s. And in the 1x2s, at times, the system has selected the wrong, the system we use to collect these and where I set them up initially. So I'm going to delete that Y and put it here, because the 28,000 is greater than the 21,000 for Harry J. Paul. Down here, the 74 is the correct one. Here, 10,289 is correct. And here, the 31,000 would be the one I want, because it's a greater amount. So I had to fix 2 of the 4. And now I'm just going to check the 2x1s. This is a very small lead file, so there isn't that much to do. You just want to check that each one has the yes. These will always be the same amounts, because it's 2 owners for the same one property. So if you had 2x2s, it would be a different story. In this case, we don't, meaning at this point, I can select all, say OK, save. This is a very quick and easy check. When there's a lot more leads, it can be a little more difficult. Now I'm going to open Access. I will clean out some of these past imports, but they're not harming anything. These 3 queries are the queries I read in the next piece of software. So all we're going to do now is we're going to go and we're going to grab the file we just edited and import it to Access. And we're going to have to navigate there, because it looks, in fact, we can go to the desktop again, go to Florida Data Processing, select the Excel file, say OK. This is fine. First row is correct. The only thing I typically have to check here is that the zip code does not import as a, the type should be text. And it says double, so we want to change that to short text. The only change I really care about. I don't want a primary key. I just want the data imported. And I'm going to name this like the most previous one. It's going to be Florida 2024 06-12. I'm going to finish. Say OK. And now I'm going to open all three of these queries in Design View. I'm doing this because I have to swap out the table. Now I'm going to hop back to the very first one. This is a one field table concern. You can pull this down to see your work better. You can get it to grab it. With this video, there it is right there. I just want to pull that down so you can see it better. The job is very simple for each one of these. I'm just going to drag that table up. In the query, I'm going to change it to the new table and remove the old one. Of course, I'm going to change it first or I'd lose the field. So now I'm going to run that and I'm going to save it and close it. It hops to the third one. It always does that. So I put it back to the second one just to keep myself orderly. I'm going to put the June 12th file. And now I've got to do the same thing over here, right? So I can squeeze this over a bit, give myself a little more real estate. And all I got to do is change each one of these. Now, if you fail to change one, you're going to lose a field when you delete the table. So just make sure that when you select the correct new table from which the data should retrieve, that you get every one of these. And you'll find that if you tab and use your mouse to pick, it's a little easier and a little quicker. And that's all I'm doing. I'm changing them all. I've been doing this for a long time, so pretty confident I won't miss anything. If we do, there is a place it will tell us in the importer. And I don't think we'll see anything today, but it can be understood at another time. Now, there's one other thing we want to do, and it's not going to change today because I already did a June one. Let's move our Zoho Assist out of the way. I'm going to go back here again, and I'm going to zoom in on that query. And as long as this says Florida 2024 June, when July comes, I got to change that. Everything else here is fine the way it is. They're set values. I'm going to remove this table now. I'm going to run my query. I'm going to hold save. And I'm going to close that one. Now I got to do the same thing for the third table. And what this is going to be is the import for the owners. There are three different tables we're importing to. So there are three processes we run in the next tool, which you will witness in just a few moments. You know, I'm perusing and can see that I haven't missed any while I'm doing this. Just scanning with my eye to make sure they all say 612. We're almost there. And so that's all the fields. There are no static values going to this table, and that's why everything is just looking at this table. I'm going to run that and see my count is 60. There are 60 owners. Save, close. If you want to know how many leads you're going to get, it's the opportunity table. There are 45, so there'll be 60 owners imported against 45 properties. So the number of leads that Lucy will receive will be the 45. I close that. I close this, or at least get it out of the way. And now we launch the Oak Merge tool, which is the import tool from which I will be working. And what you'll find is that the first import we'll watch takes only a minute. The second one is going to process, let that run, and come back afterwards and do the last import, just so it's fully understood. I did click on it. It takes a while to load. So just don't, understand that it's going to take a minute to load. All three of these are what I'm running today. You can see the names of them. I have 3 for California, 3 for Florida. This was something I did way back in May to fix something. This was something I ran last year to fix something. You can ignore those. It says they will last run on the 9th, the 9th, and the 10th. I didn't get back until the next day on the owners. So now I'm just going to click Company Import, and I'm going to click this button called Merge. There was only one field. We know we set it up right, so this will be a quickie. It's the second one, the opportunity leads, that take just over an hour. And it takes a minute for everything to load because it's logging into ACT and reading the file. Now what this says, targets companies, company table import, company description is absent. That's because we use company description only with the California stuff. You just click this, accept it, say yes. Now it's going to present the last screen where I'm going to click merge. For some reason on companies, I talked to the publisher, it can't be changed. Some reason on some of these, it always goes to test run for 3. You just want to hit complete run and click run. And we watch this, and you'll see in just a moment that it will process this file. Again, later when you're processing the next file, the top line will be running for over an hour. You can review this when you go through this yourself, but it basically just tells you how many rows are in the company table. How many did we process? 18, and it skipped them all because they were all dupes. But we always run it just because if there aren't dupes, it'll add them. We don't want to finish. We actually want to click Start Over. And now we go to process number 2. We click Merge again. And this one's going to produce a different sort of information, but along the exact same line. This one says complete run. All you have to do with this one is click run. It says you haven't mapped the import. Well, I use the import with the Ys to identify the ones that have to be coming in as leads. That's why there were 45 of these and 60 of the owners. So you just ignore that. It's just warning you. When you say yes, this will be here for over an hour, just over an hour. So I'm going to pause the video and come back and complete this in a little later tonight. Okay, so we've completed the lead import. And so now it's just, again, the same concept. You can see added to the target was 45. There's over 100,000 leads in the opportunity database. That's kind of what all this means. And now we just want to click Start Over. We're going to pick the last item, which is the owners. And again, we're just going to click Merge. So relation to the owner got missed. CRM, match, registered address, none of these matter to us. But relation to the owner does matter. So in order to deal with this, and this is a little unusual, but it's part of me processing through this, so I might as well show you what I got to do. So what I actually have to do is close this app, say yes, go back to Access, and now I have to look at the owners table, and I'm going to look through this in the design view to look for the relation to the owner field. And make sure it's added in to the query. So I guess this is good that it relation to owner description. Well, we've already got it in there. So why is relation to owner looking? We'll look at that in a minute, but let's just look at the query. We might not have had to do this, but I think it's good to look. So the relation to owner description is in there. The relation to owner, had I added it back in, so this is kind of good for the experience, even though we're not going to end up changing anything. If I come to the very end, you're going to see that that's the abbreviated value versus the whole value. And then what we're going to do in ACT is we want the whole value. So really, I don't need to save this. We're going to be just fine with what we had, but now we've got to relaunch the tool to do this and just go back to where we were. And while we're at it, I'll open ACT because you usually do that after everything's done. But it doesn't hurt because we will already see that the opportunities have imported, and all we're going to be doing next is importing the owners to the supplemental table so you can see who are listed as the owners. There were 60 owners and 45 properties, so some of them will have a couple of owners, and from looking back at Excel what we did, and some of them will just have this single owner that the information or the data came in from. So to multitask, even for this video, which is heading north of 17 minutes at this point, I have Lucy's login stored. That's who we are when we're in here. While that tries to log into ACT, I'm going ahead and hit this and let this run at the same time I've got ACT loading up. And I'm going to hit the merge. And then that's going to process while the database opens. So a little bit of waiting, a little bit of time execution during these processes. The opportunities took just over an hour to load, but I stepped away for 2 or 3 hours, so the time is now 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Not relevant, really. You can walk away and come back and complete it. So we're back here, and the trick to this question, relation to owner, is to accept that, and then it will bring us to the final. And again, it has a test run. You always want to make sure complete run is what you're checking off. ACT is finished logging into the contact table as Lucy. That's how ACT works. If I go now to the opportunities, the filter should be set to today. And we'll see the 45 new leads for Florida will have already come in. A little slow. Just gotta wait. Oh, it's set to yesterday, so this is a good chance for me to point out. We just want to change our filter to today, so that we can see what we just imported. This will filter in a moment. Up here where it says 00, it says 1 of 45. And to make a good example, we can just pick any one and look at the details of this particular lead. And we'll see all the data that transferred in, that went from spreadsheet to Access, the work we did, and results here. Relation to owner is primary owner here, but as you can see on the Owners tab, there is no data. So now when we process this last set of data, we'll be able to then see the owners. So I'm just going to click Run, and relation to owner description. I'm actually going to say no, and I'm going to go back to the merge rules. you can see that relation to owner and the relation to owner description somehow got alienated. So this is all very good for training purposes for me to show you that I've corrected that by going into the merge rules. Go to next. Now it no longer has anything missing. I say yes. I come here. Now there's one step when you have to fix or modify. I'm going to edit and save as so it remembers that for the next time and we shouldn't have that issue again. So I say yes, save that script. This isn't necessary anymore, but I'll save it as well. And now I'm going to click run. And the relation to owner description will end up in the supplemental table. So we didn't need to correct our access source, but rather we needed to correct the mapping. How or why it got disconnected, can't really say. It doesn't matter because I've had the opportunity to demonstrate how to correct that. And I think, again, as this goes, that worked. And you can see that 60 owners were added. It ran very quickly. It's not like the opportunities themselves. Now I can click finish. I'm done here. Now I can go to view in ACT and let this scroll all the way down and click refresh so that I can see the data that I caused to be changed. Now if I change that screen and go back to the owners, it should populate. And in this case, there were 2 owners. So the multi-property type was 2 by 1. That means 2 owners for 1 property, and here they are. Okay, and you know, if we open either one of these, you will see the relation to the owner. In this case, I believe Arthur is the owner. Yes, he is. And then Mary would have not been the primary owner. So primary owner is actually Mary. And Arthur is the joint tenant with rights of survivorship. So there is the example, and you can see it in the owner tab. And it's all here. Here it is too, in the list view. Joint tenant and primary owner. So that resolved that. So frankly, that just kind of concludes this section of the Florida processing training because we've checked all our leads came in. We've got the right counts. We've got the right information everywhere. And that's that.